It's time for the Board Game Barbecue podcast. Sit back, relax, find your favourite camping chair and join us around the fire. From wherever you're listening around the world, welcome to Australia's favourite board gaming podcast. The Board Game Barbecue, brought to you by addicts, not experts.
Hello and welcome to the Board Game Barbecue, episode 175. You're here tonight with Connor and also with Sarah, Mitch and Adrian. How we going, guys?
Hey, good.
Hey, everybody.
Good, buddy.
Excellent. I should have said first, sorry. I should have said three incredible human beings, by the way.
That's right. We need them. We need them adjectives.
Yeah.
When are they joining?
Because Mitch isn't human being, so you can't say that. I understand.
Well, it's
Close enough.
We were talking about Bigfoot videos and stuff before, so maybe that's like we're going with that. But before we get sort of stuck into our usual affair, if you've been following along with us, you're probably well aware that we've had a couple of changes with the podcast. We've had a couple of our members leave and go on to other things. So we've had Steve and Def both leave, and so we got together and discussed the future of the podcast, and we ultimately decided we would drop it back to one podcast a week. Our biggest priority was to continue delivering quality content, but at the same time, we don't want to burn ourselves out. So starting today, you can expect to hear one episode every Tuesday for the immediate future. Now, as well as that, we're going to make sure that we continue creating our Patreon exclusive episodes, and our aim is to deliver 2 a month. As far as everything else goes, it's just business as usual. In fact, we have some big things planned for the next few months, and we're really looking forward to sharing them with you in the coming weeks. So now that that's out of the way, what's everyone been up to? How's everyone feeling about the past week?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously we've got big changes here, which, it's sad that, people are moving on. But you know what? Also awesome because
it's good.
Super proud that sort of, Steve had that birthday party, which I was at, and he met his friend who he hadn't seen in a long time and kind of came to the realization of I started the podcast to do this one thing, but kind of forgot about it. And now he's going to do the thing that he actually kind of started to set out to do, which is great. And, he brought us all together, which is fantastic. And he's coming to the game day. So, there's all that. I mean, I was at Def's last week and we were all there, Steve, Def, and I was playing an 18xx game at Def's house, but that's a story for another 6-hour session. But yeah, for me, man, just been flat out. With life, playing games, watching Mandalorian, Boba Fett. I
haven't seen it yet, so don't say anything.
Okay.
Don't say anything.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
Except that bit about...
Stop.
That bit where...
Speaking of spoilers, my niece was reading through the Harry Potters and she's like, I got up to that. I said, did you get to the secret chapter about the dinosaurs? And for a month, she was like, what? There's no secret chapter. What's secret chapter with dinosaurs? So that's sort of like a little...
That's cruel. That's unnecessarily cruel. What have you been up to, Sarah? What's going on?
Me? Well, so I talked about this on a recent Patreon episode, but I will mention it again because it was a big deal. I went to CanCon, and so I've actually been playing a lot more games lately than usual. I've been gaming up a storm. So I got to play quite a few things. I didn't go completely crazy. I think I basically played one heavy game plus a couple of light games every day, but lots of new stuff. So I was really happy that I got to play such a variety. I played Ark Nova. I did my oath, which was to... Oh, no, wait. No, I've spoiled it again. I already spoiled it once. I've spoiled it everywhere. I've literally spoiled it everywhere. I spoiled it in the Patreon. I spoiled it in Discord. I spoiled it literally everywhere, so it doesn't even matter.
What did you think of Ark Nova before you move on? What's your Ark Nova thoughts?
I really liked it. I liked the cards. I thought I had some cool stuff going on with them, which was really nice. I had the world's coolest reptile enclosure.
Yes, that's what I went for. The
was amazing. Is that what you did? Yeah. So I had all these lizards that basically took up 0 space. So I just kept filling my park with lizards. I'm like, well, they're not taking up any space. They can just all go in the reptile enclosure. What's it called? I'm not saying that properly.
Yeah, it's a reptile house.
Reptile enclosure.
Like a terrarium, whatever you call it. Anyway, so they were all going in there, and some of them were like nasty. Like some of them do mean stuff.
Oh,
and,
the take that stuff.
Venom, like the venomous. Yeah, the take that stuff. Which, like, by the way, is not a big thing in the game. But there is a tiny bit. There's like the constrictor snake.
I don't even use those rules because I don't like it. I don't like the take that stuff.
Oh, you're too
guilty.
nice, Adrian.
So, well, Kenny taught me something actually. He said that if you don't use the constrictor, you use the solo option underneath as a means to avoid that. And that's how I played it.
Well, I was playing against Kenny.
You are constricting everybody.
I was trying to constrict him because he's good at every game, or at least it seems that way. And it was tough. It was tough to beat. I could see him going up that track. And, his little markers were going to meet before mine. And I was like, oh, this is no way. It's like such a hard slog, isn't it? You start at like minus 100 or whatever. And you're doing all this stuff and your score's going up, but it's still minus. And I think
Did you work out the scoring rules? Because me and Adrian couldn't. We were streaming to like 5 people, and we're like, "What was about like 12:30 at night or something like that?" And I was like, whatever, I don't know. And it was.
There was definitely a few drinks involved as well. Yeah. It was late, and I was like, I don't know, I'm too tired to think about it. And then we went over it and over it and over it like 12 times in a loop while streaming, but it was quite funny. But I understand it now.
I admire you guys because like if I'm up late and I'm drinking and I'm playing a game, it's usually like a card game or something I know, not Ark Nova. But each to their own. But so I really liked it. I basically had like a lot of conservation projects that I could have ticked off, but I was trying to go for like the bigger, how there's like different, you can like get 5, if you have like 5 European logos, you get more points. So I was going for the bigger ones instead of just like the 2, you get 2 points, whatever. So I was going for the bigger ones, and I managed to like, I had a couple in the bag ready to go, but I just couldn't get it done in time. So you feel that pressure, because it's a bit of a race really, isn't it? To get the first one to get
Very
those 2 markers to meet. So
and I've definitely learned over the course of playing it quite a few times now, like it's a weird kind of game of chicken of like, I have to look at what the other players have in their sponsorship cards.
Yeah.
To see if what they have and will trigger at the end of the game is more than what I have. So then like, I don't want my markers to cross, also don't want theirs to cross when I'm not kind of prepared for it. So they might release an animal. And if I see that happen, I might try and hammer a couple of sponsorship cards to try and get myself so that when the game triggers, I keep going and going and going, and they pass that loop further and further.
Yeah.
Because I found that was the hardest bit, because the first time I finished it, I didn't really have many of those end-game scoring mechanisms in place. So I scored and I was like, sweet, this is it. Oh, yeah, minus 40. Brilliant. But like now it's like I can see how it works. I can see as soon as they pass and it's like that's done, you've got to, count this and you got to add that, and then they keep tracking and keep moving and keep passing. And the further you can push them away from each other, the more points you get.
More you can actually get some positive points. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's so hard to get a positive score.
Oh, yeah. Well, especially if you don't finish first. Like,
I mean,
if you finish first, you're nearly guaranteed a positive score, right? But then you're left. That's it, like that, bang, that's your score. And then it's up to everyone else to have those in-game triggers to go or build, have that last turn to build,
Yeah, and I, like, so Kenny basically said to me, like, make sure, you keep hold of a sponsorship card from your hand at the start or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't get any. I didn't have any to hold on to. So that was really disappointing. So I was like, this is bad. So then that was my main focus. Like sort of in the first part of the game, I was trying to find some actual decent sponsorships, which gave me something to go for. So,
is this a game that at all interests you, Mitch? Are you intrigued by it? Because it gets talked about a lot, but I've not heard much of you talking about it at all.
I haven't played it. Look, it tends to be, I'm a little bit of a, in the 90s when everyone was like, Michael Jordan's the greatest. I'm like, oh, really? Well, I'll follow someone else then.
Yeah.
So
a contrarian.
No, it's sort of like, I don't know, just like to walk my own path, So with everyone going mental about Ark Nova at the moment, I'm kind of like, oh, just wait.
I'm not mental on it. I've got to say, I'm not mental on it. I don't think it's the best game out this year or anything.
I think after repeat plays of it now, I see it in a different light. And that always happens with games. You might play it the first 4 or 5 times and go, wow, this is awesome. After 12 plays, it definitely, there's things in it that I don't like about it. Like, not hate. There's elements to it that I'm like, not that this could be done better. It's just that there's other games that I prefer. So
I have heard that it plays really, really well solo. I know Shane played it solo.
Everyone
was raving about how great it was. So that definitely ticks a box for me to say it's still on my sort of intrigue list. But yeah, with all the hype around it at the moment, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll let the hype die down. I'll see what happens. And, there's other things on my radar at the moment, so I'll just check them out.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is that I felt often I went for the action that was just the highest action, even though, like maybe I should have done something else. But I was like, but it's so tempting. This is like the best action I could do right now. It's the strongest. So I kind of, you know what I mean? Like it was sort of like forcing me to do something that I maybe didn't really want to do.
Yeah.
But I just did it anyway.
Their action selection.
Yeah, pushing all the way to the top. Yeah.
That's right. And you want those actions to build up power, but at the same time you might need to take it before it's at its optimum level, which is, I mean, that's an interesting kind of puzzle that you've got to work out yourself.
Yeah.
As well.
When is it worthwhile doing a weaker action versus the stronger action? Anyway, I feel like Mitch should talk about something he's been playing.
Yeah. Really? I'd like to hear.
Go for it, Mitch.
Well, I'm just trying to think. So I'm going to talk about a game that I played for the first time last night, which was Messina 1347.
Oh.
Yeah, so not a lot of people have had a chance to get their hands on this yet in Australia anyway. I think it came out in Essen this year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's made in Europe, I think, maybe Spain. I'm trying to think of the...
it's set in where it's set, yeah.
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 But anyway, moving on from that, I guess it's not critically important. But the point being that it hasn't really arrived here yet. So I just happened to grab one. Someone was selling one in the marketplace, and I was like, oh, that's a score to grab one hold of that so early. So I picked up a copy, and I've been dying to play it. And yeah, the first time I had a chance to get it out was last night, where I played the 2-player game with Jared. So shout out to Jared for coming down and
I met Jared. I played Dwellings with Jared.
You did indeed, yeah. He was at the game day. So yeah, we had a go of that. And first impressions, the rule book is legit. It's a serious rule book. I'm not sure if I really like the way that it's structured, because there's a lot of items in the rulebook that says, when you take your turn here, do this, and to understand what that does, you can follow that up on page 16.
Oh my God. This needs to have a rulebook off with Batoku, because that's exactly the same thing. It's like, and then you go, where's this? I know it's in there somewhere, and you got to fuss it through this like 32-page pamphlet.
Yeah, so it almost feels like it's a bit disjointed. It doesn't really say do this, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this. It's kind of like do this, and then if you want to know more about this, jump to this page back in the back of the rule book. It's like, what? Where am I going with this? So it's really hard to follow along the rule book.
It's very hard. It makes the journey of learning the game like a chore. Like it makes it difficult. But I suppose it's hard to have it all boxed up and clumped together for some reason, because these rule books seem to do that. They jump from place to place quite a lot. But yeah,
well, I think the game one
was hard going.
Yeah. So the rule book was a bit of a slog. It took us a solid probably 40 minutes to an hour just to sort of get through the rule book. And because of the way the rule book is laid out with the sort of bits and pieces everywhere, you can't just go, let's just start and we'll play as we go.
Yeah.
Because you can't. It's it's not. You would have to stop and jump back and forward and all over the place, and you just wouldn't really be able to. And then when you've read through the rulebook, as disjointed as it is, you can't remember everything that was in there anyway. So you kind of like a bit all over the place. But once we got started playing, we were like, wow, this is really not as hard as that rulebook makes it out to be. And it was actually quite easy once you play it and get into the sort of the rhythm, and you sort of, know what's going on bit by bit. But let me explain a little bit about the game. So it's set during the Black Plague, and you are lieutenants that are essentially trying to save a town or a city from the plague. There are boats that come into the port. They bring plague with them every turn. There are workers, I guess, I can't remember the actual name they use for them, but there's citizens that are out on the board, and there's 3 different types of citizens based on their profession. And you are essentially trying to take those citizens out of the town, to utilize them outside of town where they can be safe. If they've been on a square that is infected with the plague, they have to go into quarantine first before you can then use them in your town to do other things. And the more citizens and things you can have in your town, you can build workshops that give you bonuses at the end of each round with those citizens. If you have a citizen that goes to work for you, they can do all that. And then towards the end of the game, you want to then repopulate the town with your citizens, and that scores you more points at the end of the game as well. And from what I can tell so far, that seems to be the big point scorer. Repopulating the town with the healthy citizens is a bit of a boon in terms of victory points.
That makes sense, though, right?
Well, yeah. That's essentially your main objective. It's Matt Riddle once said, "It's a game about fish. You better catch some fish, right?"
It's a game about Messina, so
I thought it was a game about gelato.
That's what they could just buy delicious games, and they're things that like an ice cream or a muffin.
No, Messina though. Messina is the gelato place. It's like the best gelato you can get.
Must be for you fancy Sydney siders.
Yeah, you need to come from the Bull to get Messina. Honestly, it's worth the trip.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah,
too cold to have ice cream.
It's double thematic. If it's ice cream and gelato,
yeah. And by the way, so it wasn't made in Spain because Delicious are in the Czech Republic.
Oh, are they right? Okay.
Yeah. Because Suchi's from there. So, but he's a Spanish designer. Yeah, but it's also Raul. There's a Spanish designer that worked with him.
Right. So it's really. So I'll be honest. The first time we played last night, I was kind of like, I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, I knew what to do for all the individual parts, but I wasn't really sure on how to tie all those parts together to make it a successful winning strategy, if you know what I mean. I knew how to move my people around my town to get benefits and bonuses. I knew how to buy workshops and put people in them. I knew how to upgrade my citizens. I knew how to get the citizens off the main board. I knew how to get rid of the plague on the board. I knew how to do everything individually, but how do I do it all and tie it all together to make it work on this, efficient plan to end up in heaps of victory points? And
I was going to say, welcome to my life, because I don't have a clue about any of that stuff. I know how to do
strategy,
huh?
Yeah.
What?
Jared clearly had a better idea of it because he destroyed me in terms of the points, but that's not uncommon. But so I sort of walked away from the game thinking this is a game that's going to need a few plays to really sort of get to understand how it all sort of clumps together. And I haven't stopped thinking about the game for the last 24 hours, to the point where before the pod tonight, I was like, I'm playing again.
Yeah.
And
I thought you were going to say, before the pod, I was going to try and get myself the Black Death.
Super thematic, yeah.
Method acting.
I'm dedicated to this.
I want to role play this.
But so then this afternoon I played it solo as well. And man, I had just so much a better time. Not because it's better solo than it is multiplayer, but because I knew what I was doing. I had a better sort of idea of what I was going to do. I was working towards the repopulation.
Didn't have to talk to any of the players.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's enough. Don't listen to him, Jared. You're quite a nice man.
He is. I can second that. He is quite a nice fellow.
He is.
No, I wasn't having to go, Jared. Jared's probably awesome. I just think that you like that. You like being on your practice.
I don't know. Mitch has changed.
Yeah, I know, right?
He's been playing a lot of games with other people.
Yeah,
weird.
It's getting crazy. But I will say that the AI, it's essentially a beat your own score.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are not into a beat your own score solo games, this is probably not for you. And the AI, in terms of managing the AI, is one of the smoothest AIs that I've ever played in a big, heavy Euro game. And that's a massive tick for me.
Yeah.
Gelato smooth?
Gelato smooth. Boom.
Gelato smooth. Gelato smooth on steroids.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I actually think that there's a bunch of us in the podcast that would really enjoy this game.
Oh, I'm hanging for it, dude.
Yeah.
I love the theme. Love the theme. I've done a lot of research and listened to a lot of podcasts and read a lot of books about the Black Death. It's something that really, really interests me. And I would love to play the game. Like I tried to get it from Essen. I tried a bunch of different things. There's also another reason that I want to, if it's all right, Mitch, I'll just take over a bit. I go.
Yeah.
But they have, I don't know if you know this, but because it's to do with the Black Death and obviously repopulating things and progression in vaccines and quarantining and different types of things, they actually donate a portion of their funds to Doctors Without Borders.
All right.
Which when I read that, I was like, well done, you guys. Like, that's really cool. Like, that's taking the theme to the extreme.
Yeah.
That's when he rap solo album, taking the theme to the extreme. Like, it's, that's a really good thing. Because, we all know this, board games is a love and a passion. There's not a heap of coin in it. It just isn't. It's a fact. But it's really interesting, and I think that's a really cool move, and really massive respect to them for doing it. I don't know if it's the designers that chose to that or if it's Delicious Games, but I really want to play the game. Love the theme, love the art. I love it has that puzzle on your player board thing, kind of like what an Unokai has. Like, that's what, when I saw that player board the first time, that's what I thought of. I thought, ooh, that looks like this.
Yeah.
But I just want to play it. So,
and theme-wise, there's a thematic part of it that I found kind of interesting too, the first time we played, where if you leave a citizen, so obviously there's only a certain number of things you can do each turn. You can't do everything. But if at the end of the round, there's citizens that have been left on hexes with the plague, they go away.
That makes sense.
Round.
There you go. They go away.
Is that what it says in the rule book? They just go away.
It says you remove them back to the supply, but thematically,
bring out your dead.
I'm not dead.
Should be one.
The reason I want to play it is not as sort of, I guess, wholesome as Adrian's. It's because I've loved Vladimir Suki's last two games. Underwater Cities, I think it's fantastic. Yeah. And I had so much fun playing Praga with Adrian. I reckon that game's really clever with the rondel mechanic and the selections. We were talking about the action selections and the rondel, about them gaining more victory points and becoming cheaper. So it's kind of similar in theme, not theme, in mechanics to the action selection of Ark Nova too. That's why I'm excited for it, and the player board, and because I just think it looks like a great and interesting game.
Yeah.
There's so much to it, and I feel like, I've only played it a couple of times, but I feel like there's whole sections of opportunities to score points that I haven't even touched on yet.
Yeah,
I've just scratched the surface on. I'll give you an example. They say in the rule book that to a good score for the solo game is 130 points for the basic game, 140 points for the advanced game. And I'm still playing the basic to get my head around everything. So, 130 points for the basic game is a good score. And I scored 51.
Oh, well, that's just room to grow.
Same as your age, so that's all right.
But that says to me, A, I'm terrible, which we already know. But B,
no comment.
B, they've confirmed it.
that there is a whole lot more that I'm yet to unpack in this game. And, in order to make it all sort of work together.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
so
great.
Good,
it's great.
And it's funny you say that, because that was the one thing I was a little bit concerned about, if I'm honest. I've read and I've seen that Praga is a little bit heavier than this one. And there's enough in Praga as well. But I was thinking maybe potentially there wouldn't be as much in this one for growth. But, saying that and looking at the action selection board and stuff, I think that, you've hit the nail on the head. There definitely is. And especially with the solo mode, like you scoring 51, I would probably score 15 if I had to play it. Do you know what I mean? So I would love to try and get it and play it more and give it a go. But it's so hard to get out here. When's it coming? Someone talk to me. Tell me this.
Oh, you might know some people that have an idea, but that might come later. Speaking of games that sort of take you a couple of times to wrap your head around, I think finally for me, On Mars clicked. Like, I was playing it the other day with Def and Harry, And finally, I was like, oh, it all makes sense now. So I played it a couple of times, maybe like a year ago or something like that. And because the game is long and it's a time investment, and it didn't feel like I was enjoying it that much.
And you've only played it online, right?
Yeah, I've only played it online,
Yeah.
which I said that at the beginning. I was like, I just wish I had the pieces there, and it's just so much more intuitive when you can be like, yes, no, like, and your brain might work that way. But finally, I was like, right, I get it. You need to have that bank of resources so that even though something might cost you a bit more, you can then do that action. And we talked about, because we also play some guide projects as well, we compared the two, and they're not the same. Like, they're by no means the same game. But the fact that we were like, well, it's not as punishing on Mars because you can still take that action, right? Like, very rarely does it get blocked from you. It just might cost you a bit more. So as long as you are able to pay for that action, you can still take it. And that's the route I took. I thought, okay, I've got to make sure that whatever happens, I need some resources, to the point where I was gaining resources and couldn't hold them because my
storage was
full. Yeah. And I had.
Because you got to build the
right.
settlement thing, so you can put more in there. Yeah.
But we were the way Def taught it to Harry, and he was like, so it's just a circle, and we're like, yep. He's like, where do I start in the circle? And we're like, yep. That's up to you.
Somewhere. You've got to get in there somewhere.
Yeah. And it's funny because people are like, it's sandboxy. And to me, I'm like, it's not a sandbox. Like, a sandbox, as we know, right? What I call the sandbox game. Is really a sandbox
we
game.
know what it is now.
Yeah, we know what it is now. But like Western Legends, right, is a sandbox game. And that's to me. And then, but I was like, well, but there's no start and end for On Mars. It's like you can do what you want in any order, but there is steps you have to take first. So when you were talking about, I clicked on the second turn with Messina, Mitch, that's what I was still thinking about in my brain with On Mars, and we've talked about it heaps on the show. I'm not going to belabor the point, but I really enjoyed it. And while I won't necessarily grab myself a copy because I don't think I've got someone who I can play it with consistently, I would happily, if someone's like, want to play a game with On Mars, I'd be like, yep, I'm down. Because for me, I'm sure I'll still get belted, but it's finally making sense.
But the thing is, as you say that, it makes sense. But every time you play that, you'll grow in it. There'll be something new that you'll discover.
Yeah, for sure.
And there'll be a new thing. You're like, if I do this, I can get that. And this links to that. And when games do that, it's phenomenal. Like, even if you haven't played it for, what was your break, do you think, between last time you played On Mars, even though it's all online? Like a year?
Oh, yeah, if not more. I don't even think I played it last year at all.
Yeah. And then you've come in, played it again and gone, hang on, this is starting to click.
Yeah.
And then not just that, you're like, I've learned this, I can get that. And, that's awesome. Like, that just shows how good it is.
Once again, we were talking about the other day, Adrian, how you set yourself a goal in a game, and as long as you can do that goal, that's what you wanted. And that's what I can't remember. It was something to do with the Green Scientist. I was like, I wanted to build cards that I could use the Green Scientist on because I had the Green Scientist. So I wanted to use those executive actions. And because I was able to do that, because I had that little, rondelle going for myself, I was pretty happy.
Yeah, well,
I can see why people call it sandboxy though, because there are so many. Yeah, I don't know. Has anyone here ever done the strategy or tried to do the strategy where you just get the contracts for the buildings and let the other people try and make that formation?
That's what we did. Yeah,
because you can kind of see what blueprints people have taken, so you know what they need to build, because it'll be negative points for them if they don't build it. So you can kind of put those contracts in the thing, but try and get them before they do.
That strategy is definitely better for 4-player. If you're playing a 2-player, the other person's like, I'm not building that.
I'm not doing that.
You're going to maximize on that. Screw you.
Yeah.
Sorry, you touched on something there as well, kind of like your perception on how you play games and how you, especially when you start to play games, we spoke about the other day. Like, I've definitely adopted that. And man, I've had some fun with some games recently doing that, especially games that I am terrible at, namely one that we played up on Friday night, which was a new playtest that we did for a new game. And
I was about to say, are we allowed to talk about it?
I'm not going to talk about it because it'll
Game X.
Game X.
Game X by a designer with a last name sounds like
Latif,
but it's not. But you know what? Like, I adopted that strategy before we started playing. I was like, I'm going to Connor Divine this game.
Yes.
That's my plan.
Coin that.
Everyone knows I'm your biggest fan.
That's true.
Like,
Yeah,
pretty much. So, like, it really helped, actually. Like, because I didn't do great. We were at the back. Let's put it that way. Me and Connor played a game, and we were at the back of the pack.
It took you guys ages to score anything at all. I was like, oh, get on the board, guys. What are you doing?
And then Vital big dog me. It's like, oh, we're going to cut it short around. I was like, hang on a second. Like, I'm slowly, I'm like a diesel truck, right? I'm trying to get there.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we'll finish. Sarah's tired. I was like, oh, I see how it is. Right, Sarah's tired.
Yeah.
It was my fault.
I've definitely adopted that approach. And man, it's so much better, especially for learning games and stuff. But like, I just set myself a goal, and my goal was get this thing done by the next round.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the game, if I can get the other thing done, I'll be really stoked. And man, like, I had a path that I was trying to do. Don't mock me, Sarah, because nothing
I am
right.
going to mock you. I'm going to say, so what you're saying is set the bar really, really low.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine with me. Can't fail.
Can't fail. Just set it real low.
My other thing was not to make any silk technology, so you couldn't make your
oh my God. Can we take that offline? Let's just talk about that after the podcast, because I've got more to say on that.
But back round to that. Like, when I play Messina, Mitch, I would like to go, right, this is my plan, my game going in, and this is what I'm going to stick to and see if I can get it done. So when you play solo, has there been points where you've gone, like, you know, this is what I'm trying to do. This is my objective. Is there like a core objective you're trying to achieve?
So there's these boats essentially that come in every round. They come into dock, and when I play with Jared, we literally did not touch a boat. None of us chose to go to the docks at any point during the game. And I said to Jared, I said, we didn't even touch the boats. Like, there's this whole boat thing that happens. Surely it's a part of the game. Like, you wouldn't put it in there if it was just to be ignored. Right? Surely there's some sort of bonus or benefit.
It could be like the biggest, highest scoring point.
Ever, potentially, right?
Boats essentially is the victory point track.
Yeah.
You know,
but
multiplier.
So when I played this afternoon, I'm like, I'm going to go get some boats. So the very first move I took was to go to the boat, and I did one boat action. And then I just never went back again.
Boats aren't for you.
You said it. Well, because it wasn't that it didn't do me any favors. It just was like I got carried away with other stuff. So I was like, oh, no, I want to do that. Now, look, I could if I get one more piece of wood, I could do that. And then I could do that. And, you know, that'd help me with that. But if I want to do that, I've got to advance that. So I've got to move that. And then I finished the game and went, oh, I didn't even get a boat again.
That sounds
it's
like
hard when you get tunnel vision, eh? When you get that tunnel vision on stuff, honestly, and you're like, oh, I do that in Whistle Mountain all the time. I'm like, I'm going to get this. Then I'm going to get this big machine. I'm going to build it. Then I'm like, oh my God, 3 of my workers have drowned already. Like, I've got to get this stuff done. Like, and it's too late. Like, you know, because I've got tunnel vision.
People who are good at playing games talk about planning 2 and 3 actions ahead. And I'm like, I can't do that because I get too excited about something that I see now, and then that becomes the action that I want to take next. And
squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to cheat here a bit, which is a surprise to no one, right? The game I would like to talk a bit about is while he is no longer on the podcast anymore, I've already talked about him once this evening. Def left me with one last little present before he left the podcast, and that is the Through the Ages, but the app. So I've spoken about this before, about how much I loved civilization games and civilization building as a kid, even now, Age of Empires, Total War, like Dawn of War, anything where you start from the ground and you build it up and you can see yourself getting more and more powerful. I just love that. And Seven Wonders kind of gave me those vibes, but it wasn't super thematic. It was a bit like you're just getting cards and matching symbols and so on and so forth. Well, Through the Ages, it cops a hard time, right, on the board because it's so long, like the board game, right? So that's his biggest criticism. But the app is like one of the best, not just apps, one of the best video games I've played because the designer is on there. The designer's on there. And he's like Vlada Chvátil's on there and he's making fun of himself. So he's like he's there with, I'm trying to think who the who the leader is, and the leader's like having a crack at him, telling, "You're not very good at this. You're not very good at explaining. You need to explain this better." He's like, "No. I'm letting the player learn." And he's like, "The player doesn't want to learn. The player wants to know how to win." So that's through the tutorial, and
Nice.
that on its own makes you go, "Oh, I need to play this game more." So the tutorial sort of goes for maybe if you're playing it at a reasonable clip, about 20 minutes, but it does a fantastic job of explaining the game in a way that's super palatable. Like if you were learning a game and a game as complex as Through the Ages, would you guys be happy with like a 15, 20-minute teach?
Probably not.
Oh, the table would take way longer than that.
exactly.
Yeah.
It has. I know that for a
Mitch,
fact.
no, can't go. Well, what's your time for a teach, Mitch? How long would you?
Well, if it's a big, heavy game like that, like I said, like we took about 40, 45 minutes to an hour to learn Messina, right?
Yeah.
And if it was a teach, I can't remember. I did a big teacher feast for Odin on the game day. I think probably we went for about 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes. So it depends on the game and how complex it is. But yeah, I would expect that Through the Ages would be longer. I've never played Through the Ages.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know how big and heavy it is.
Oh yeah, and if you're into app gaming, so I'll preface to say, if you're into app gaming, please check this out 100% because it's such a great app as well. And I think it always was from the beginning of when apps started coming on or board games started becoming apps. It was like the app to have if you like board games. I think along with like Terraforming Mars. Adrian, you're going to say, "Oh yeah, go."
Well, yeah. So it is an app game, obviously. Are you talking about that you've played it on a phone or a tablet or Steam? What sort of platform have you played it
on the iPad and the phone, and it works pretty much the same. It's just a bit smaller. I had a quick, same as you, Mitch. I had a quick run through this afternoon, and I just did it on my phone, and I felt like I wasn't losing out on anything. Maybe the text is a bit smaller and things like that. You can fit a bit more on the screen of the iPad, but if there's one on Steam, go and grab it. I would say, and apps do a really great job of streamlining as opposed to. And we've talked about differences between like playing on like a BGA or a tabletop simulator. How it's a bit more freeform, whereas apps sort of send you down. And I think for a game like Through the Ages, that's what it needs because otherwise it gets a bit too cumbersome.
They also streamline your life. Like you can sit there and watch it on the couch while Netflix is on. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas Steam, you feel like you have to be at a PC or a station or on a laptop. It's just something that you can do on your hand and your phone. Is like, oh yeah, I can eat a bowl of twisties and watch Netflix and play Through the Ages. Look at me go.
And it's and that's exactly like what it's there for, right? Because you want to be playing, and you can play couch co-op, so you can play like pass and play. You can play online.
Oh, hang on, see, I can play it sitting next to someone and pass the phone.
You can do pass and play.
That's amazing. I've never heard of that
because it's open information. Because the thing is, so it'll make more sense like once it goes through. But the mechanics are that you have these civil actions that you need to play and military actions. You're building up your civilization using cards. So it's a card-based game. And you're going through different ages. So it starts at the age of antiquity, then it goes to the I guess the Bronze Age, and the Middle Ages, and then you get to modern day. So it goes through there, and it's that great experience where you're creating your own history. So like today, I had the internet, but I still had like soldiers with spears and shields. So like that doesn't make sense. But in the game, it does.
It's unwarnable.
Yeah, that's right. It's still the militia's like rounding up all the penguin thieves. That's what's going on at the moment. But that's the whole point behind it too, because the idea is that you can't excel in everything. You need to pick a path to go down and focus on that path. But at the same time, you play against an AI, and if you neglect military or something too much, they will play cards that will punish you, because you can play event cards that will say, or the person with the most technology, or the person with the most culture, or the person with the most, or the strongest will get this, and the weakest will get this. So if you sort of, and I guess with two players, there's going to be a winner and a loser in terms of that type of stuff. But if you're playing with more people, then it sort of becomes, oh, well, as long as I'm in the middle, I'm not going to get punished too much. I mightn't get the benefits, but I'm not going to get punished too much.
I haven't played a Civilization game to date where someone hasn't got like quantum physics and molecular biology, but they haven't invented the wheel.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
that's
that
right.
seems to happen in all of them. Like I think it's too hard and would be such a huge long game that would take weeks to play to do it like
You must get all these things
Right.
first.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Well, Sid Meier's Civilization, you can't do that. There's like trees, you know, like you can't.
Like a tech tree.
Yeah,
type
it's like a
thing.
tech tree. You can't.
Have you ever played
can't-
the board game version of that game though?
I have not. I would like
No,
to.
I haven't either.
But see, that's the thing. Like Age of Empires and all those other video games, it's the
Yeah.
same. You have to advance on a
Yeah.
pre-programmed path. You can't accidentally get a card that's like, "Oh, sweet laser guns," you know, and we've just got fire, and you know, and then someone's typing in Photon Man, the cheat to get the guy with a laser gun.
Trooper. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like,
haven't got regular guns yet. I'm just jumping straight from tomahawk to lasers.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
I don't know how. I mean, obviously, there is a massive. That must be a huge task to undertake for whoever is designing these games, but it doesn't upset me ever. Like I'm never like, oh, this isn't thematic enough. Like it's
You know
like
what?
Conor
I
said in
reckon
his
it provides more enjoyment and fun.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
By having a laugh about it than it would if it was done, properly.
Well, I've talked about a couple of times when we played Tapestry, which, it's still a Civilization game, but sort of a bit more like Civilization light and more about the tracks, is that I had somehow, what did I do? I had virtually invented like AI singularity, but I hadn't invented maths because I piggybacked on my sister's technology the whole way, and it is that. So it's kind of the same thing, right? And,
it happened.
By all means, it helps to be balanced, and it helps your civilization if you're balanced and protects you a bit. But when you're just playing against one other opponent, you can probably just focus on one stream and go down there. But there's a really cool corruption mechanic too. So if you don't spend enough resources, the resources effectively get spoilt. All right. So you have too many resources, people become spoiled and gluttonous, and the resources become spoiled. So it's not as if you can just stockpile resources through production. You need to spend those. And if you don't spend those, then you lose those points, or you lose some of those some of that production for the next turn. Sarah, you've played this on the table. Have you played the app?
I have not played the app, but now I really want it.
Yeah. I mean,
because I know that like moving cubes thing, corruption thing is like, that's an extra like 20 minutes on the teach right there. Moving the cubes around. No, but it is fiddly. Like I can imagine the app version being awesome.
I haven't played either, but I've been really interested in getting the game, but it doesn't have a solo mode out of the box. So the app is much more intriguing to me because I can play it against an AI, right? So
yeah. Would you ever get it, Connor, as a game? Would you ever buy it as a game?
I don't think so. Would I, if someone had it? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's right. Because for me, and I guess it's probably similar to what Mitch said, is that I play a lot of my games solo, especially heavier ones. If there's no solo mode in there and it just sort of becomes a bit laborious and it does a lot of the things for you and makes it a bit easier, then why not? Why not? Why move away from the app and things like that? So no, I don't think I would.
Another one as well. I was just thinking, do you think, Sarah, it's the best Civilization game on the table? Do you think that I know it's heavy and it's long, but as a game or as an experience even, maybe not necessarily as a weekly game, do you think it's the best that's out there?
I do, but I don't know if that's really that fair for me to say that because I don't think I've played enough. Yeah. But out of all of the style games that I've played on the table, that would be my favorite, yeah. And I think it's because of a lot of reasons. There's just so many eras and different cards and things you can do with the game. But I think it's also because you have that like different, like Sid Meier's Civilization, you have those different governments and things like that. And they are really hard. It's so cool. And they're really hard to change. Like I was a despot for like the longest time. Of course you were. I was such a despot. Troublemaker. Yeah. So like things like that just really, I haven't seen that at the table. Like the scope that you get
Yeah, because that's what interests me the most about it. When I hear everyone go, "Oh, it's so long, it's like 5 hours," all that makes me do is go, "I want it more."
So what?
I
Like you want
more.
a civilization game to have a lot in it, right? It's got to feel like all that history and all these people and all these inventions are actually in it, and it does feel like that, and it does feel like you're going like through the ages.
So just on that though, I looked it up just now. And it is I'm going to remove. So I did a search on BGG. I've ranked the results. I did a search on games that have civilization as a category. I'm going to take out the ones that I don't believe should be in there necessarily.
Hang on a sec. Who made you lord and ruler over what made?
It's just like 140 games, basically.
No, I wouldn't classify Twilight Imperium 4th edition as a civilization game.
You play as a civilization.
Yeah, but you're not building your civilization. Yeah. It's more like a 4X, right?
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you see what I mean? It's not like you're starting from... The purpose of the game is not starting from a base level and then building a civilization.
Yeah.
So if I look through the list, Through the Ages is the second on the list after Twilight Imperium. So that's number one in my books. Seven Wonders Duel comes in third, which we've all kind of already said. Seven Wonders is not really a civilization. It's more just card matching and
like city building.
Even then, like it's almost like the civilization building is a vessel for the card play. Like, I know that kind of sounds a bit stupid, but the idea isn't to build your civilization. The idea is to build a pattern and to work out which pattern will win you the game. It's not to build a successful civilization.
It's the same as It's a Wonderful World. That's not a civilization game. It's just basically a card game of resources.
Yes.
They just have elements of civilizations on the cards. It's a means to...
I think in my mind, civilization does have to have like this progression through... It's got to be like
technologies.
It's got to have history and it's got to have the future stuff. It's got to have all that. So
exactly. So if we erase the ones that are clearly not civilization, it's ranked at number 9 of all time. Like out of all games.
Yeah, it used to be it used to have both versions in the top 10, like for the longest time, Through the Ages and the new one. Yeah,
and the next one, well, not counting itself, which is the original one, the first edition, which is the next one on the list that I would consider a civilization game. You're going all the way down to number 177 to Nations.
I haven't played that, actually. I would like to try that one.
Are you telling me that Imperial Settlers isn't a civilization game, or is that...
That is on the list, but it's lower again.
The Nations.
Oh, wow.
No. That's fine. That's fine. I'll just fly the flag.
So if I mean, it might be a bit harder for Connor, but it's, you might be able to still shed some light on it. But Sarah definitely probably can. What other games comparatively would you compare to Through the Ages as like a, would you say Tapestry or something like that?
I mean,
opposed to an alternative to try before a civilization game like that.
Well, I guess if you like card
Sarah
play,
is looking at me with a face of distaste.
No, because everyone gets Tapestry and goes, it's not a civ game.
No, and everyone gets mad at that because, like, hey, and then it's like two camps. It's like he didn't say he said it was a civilization game. Well, it's not right. Anyway, for me, it's less so like I don't know what I could compare it to, but I can say if you like card play and if you like resource management and if you like building up a character even, because it's almost like you're building up a character, you're building up a civilization and having different paths to victory, then I think you would enjoy this game. Because that's what you've got going for you. You all start off on an even footing and then through a card drafting. And there's another cool thing too, because cards have various powers and because they come from different ages, it takes you one civil action to take, or an action, we'll just call it an action, but an action to take it from the card row. But the further along it is along the card row, it costs you more actions to take that card. So if you're like, I know Adrian's going to take this card, I would also like it. I'm going to take it now, even though it's going to cost me more. And that also stops hate drafting too, because you're not going to spend 2 actions just to hate draft, because it's not economical, right? So, I mean, you talk about those games before. I mean, I have talked about how much I love Imperial Settlers, and that's something I would compare it to. I would say it's got more depth and more going on than Imperial Settlers, and it's definitely heavier, but that's probably not going to surprise anyone.
I would really like to try the Clash of Cultures, the new one, the big box thing.
That sounds very cool.
I need to add that to my list to try, because the conversation's making me really want to play a different Civ game just to compare it, just to see what else is out there.
Making me want to get through the ages.
But it's
But
it's hard. And I always think about, I would love, and you talk about Sid Meier's and things like that, and how much I would love the closest thing I've played on the table to Age of Empires, which, like you said, Adrian, I lost count the amount of Age of Empires I played as a kid, is Through the Ages. Because it's got that streamline, it's almost got its inbuilt tech tree with the way that you can, but you don't have to, you can move from one, it's cheaper to move from a similar technology to then start a new one, if that makes sense. So if you run to a similar building, then it's cheaper for you to do that than just to put new workers or to build new buildings from scratch. So you have that choice, but you can also, I guess, veer off the tech tree in inverted commas.
I think we should all promise to play a Civ game and then come back and talk about them.
Homework.
Homework.
I give the homework out, Sarah. I don't receive homework. That's not how it works in my life.
It's about time the tables were turned.
The tables have turned. Adrian, we've talked in depth about some few games. Good English, Connor. I'm a maths teacher, not an English teacher. Yeah. Numbers and letters that represent numbers. Dude. That's true. After grunting and hand signals. What is there a game that you've been playing an awful lot lately, Adrian?
Yeah, I actually did something really crazy, and I went and bought a copy of the second expansion for Res Arcana from the States. I've never imported a game before, but this was our most played game last year by a good distance, almost doubled the higher count of some of the other games we played. And I don't include any BGA plays.
Twice.
Yeah, twice, yeah, pretty much. I don't include any BGA plays on my stats or anything, and we've played it online at least probably 20 times as well. So, and that's just me playing against MJ online. And it's Res Arcana. I'd say it's Perlae Imperii.
JB, you have a job.
Someone do it. Someone help me out.
Please tell us the correct pronunciation, JB.
But you know what? It's the first expansion made that game tighter. That's what happened. It basically took the same core mechanics of the original game and made it a tighter game. This one, to me, feels like it's made it more of a race, which isn't a bad thing, because I played this game so many times now. It's not that it's formulaic, because there's obviously drafting involved, and I only play it with the drafting mechanic. That's the only way I played it. But this one has changed enough in it to make, it's always
doesn't it always feel like how does it feel more like a race? Because it always feels like a race.
It feels like a super race.
Yeah.
Now,
could it be
what happens
on
is
steroids?
It's a race on steroids.
On steroids.
It's basically the main thing is that you don't go to 10 victory points anymore. You go to 13. So when you're playing the game on the original, getting to the 10, by the time you're getting to that 10-point marker, sometimes you can get to 12, 13, 14 points in that same round. So in this, you're looking to try and take it to that next level of when you get to 13, you've now got enough of an engine built up that it's not impossible to get to 19 points on your next turn. And that's what becomes more of a race, is that the game gets triggered, and then it's a course of who can keep going the longest. But because you've had essentially probably an extra round, realistically, an extra full round of the game, you've got that much more of an engine built up that it can get a bit crazy. We've played 3 games in a row, and both times it's been 17-18. And that was the first 3 games that we played. After that, we haven't pipped higher than 18, but I can see it very possible. Not even that difficult. Just got to have the right cards and the right place of power. But the main difference in this game, aside from the fact that you need the extra 3 victory points to trigger that end game is that there are the pearls. There's a new resource. And the pearls are really interesting, actually, because you start with a pearl. You start with one of every resource like before. Calm, Elan.
Please call them their real names.
Fire.
Water.
Earth. Water. Yeah. Gold. Death. And then you get a pearl. And a pearl is worth 1 victory point. Anytime in the game you have a pearl, it's a victory point. Okay? So it's a strange balance because you can swap at any time a pearl for gold, right? So therefore, sometimes you might be like, well, this 1 pearl is worth 1 victory point. But if I ditch it, get a gold, I've now got 4 gold. I can buy a monument. That monument might be worth 2 or 3 points. And I can maybe, using that, build a better engine to build more. So yeah, that's really interesting as well because, I mean, for example, we played it again today. The first card I drafted was the Wind Up Man.
Your favorite card.
I do not like the Wind Up Man. I do not like that card.
Yeah. Well,
is it really your favorite?
I do not like it, Sam.
There's parameters.
Classic. No, I really don't. I just don't. I think it takes way too long.
That's the thing.
That's the whole thing.
I think like there's some core parameters to using that card.
Yeah, you need something that you can keep turning it and doing it again. You got to load it up.
You have to start with it. You have to play that card in your first round. So that's what I did. And
you got to put 2 resources on it in that first round too.
In the first round, I put a pearl on it, and then that's getting me 2 victory points each round at the start. So because obviously it stays on there. So by the end of the first round, I had 3 victory points. But it slows you down a lot because MJ just gunned ahead and caught up. And even though I was still ticking over with the 2, by the end of the game, it was 15-13 on that game. And I could see at one point I had 8 pearls, and I was like, that's 8 points. Like, that's loads. Like, and then I started to cash them in and do different things with them. I kept, I think, 5 of them, but I spent the others to buy monuments and do different things. So there's way more thought process into what resources you want to have at what times, what you want to swap pearls for. Because you can swap pearls for resources as well. You swap a pearl for 2 resources at any time in the game. So if you need that card,
they're like a wild sort of thing, maybe even better than a wild,
essentially. Yeah. But they're also a victory point. So if you swap it, you're going back a step, but it could potentially push you forward 2 steps. You know, so it's a way up the pros and cons of that. You also there's different places of power now. So there's an extra 2 places of power. 2 of them are more involved with the pearls and what the pearls do. And the others are kind of a more focus. There's the menagerie, which focus on using creatures. And I can't remember the name of the other one, but that's just to do with fire and dragons and different mechanics. But yeah, I mean, like, I love Res Arcana. I think it's my favorite card game. Hands down. It's the most played game. I think it's similar to Race. Is it Race for the Galaxies? His other one, right?
Yeah.
I think there's more expansions to this, and we just get drip fed them every couple of years. We'll get one because I mean, for example, the tray, right? It has the 5 resources around the outside and the hole in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, the pearls go in there. That's where the pearls go.
Yeah.
So I feel like there could be more other cards, other different things. But yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. It doesn't add anything like the demons or anything, but it does add the pearls. But it's just, really well done. Really clever. Awesome.
So you said at the start that the other expansion you had made it tighter, and then this one makes it more of a race. Do you play them at the same time? Do you add both of them in, or is it something that you shouldn't do, or one but not the other?
I haven't actually looked at it to see if you can play one without the other. I would assume so, because they don't really. There's not too much. It doesn't like overlap any rules. There's no rules where it's like, oh well, you ignore this now because this is in play. But I believe the first expansion added it so you could play at 5 players, and this obviously continues that with When you play at 5 players, you use 14 monuments. When you play at 2 players, you just have 7 monuments in the deck. It just means I think there's more options for people to buy as you play it. And you have more places of power put into the game and stuff like that with the more players you play. But it's one of those things, it's the age-old question of like, oh, would you play it without it? And obviously just no, because I've played it so many times. But I think you could teach it with it. It doesn't add that much more complexity. It just adds more options and more roads to victory and more interesting combos and different things that like work together that usually don't. Because I mean, one of the engines I had, I mean, even I was like, this is not going to work. I'm stuck. But I managed to use some stuff, ditch my pearl, get another card that meant I could transfer all my resources to blue and then start hammering the place of power that I had. But if I hadn't had that pearl, there was no way that I could have transferred those resources within the original game. So that's why I say it's a bit more of a strange race. You really have to understand every element to keep going successfully, especially against someone who knows how to play it.
Well, I guess that brings me to a point. Is this, like, I've played Res a fair bit, and I think it's one of those games where it's definitely been caught in the shuffle of so many other games releasing. I think it's fantastic as well, but it's been caught in the shuffle for me. But is it something now where if you played against someone who's playing for the first time, you would wipe the floor with them because it's so tight and you know when to do things that it's just so. And we've talked about it before. Like, you could play it against MJ. Who else would you play it against? Because it sounds like you just belt whoever else you played against.
I mean, it's pretty. It's, you got to have the right cards, the right engine, but it's like the drafting element is a big part of it. So, like, if you're playing just a shuffle, it could be anything, and you could have a crappy engine and cards that just don't work for you. You can still do good, but you probably would if you'd had the same 8 cards and you drafted. You'd probably have a completely different set of cards to the random that is set to you. So,
and I think the cool thing about it that, like, Race for the Galaxy has this enormous deck of cards, and there's just so many different cards in there, and that can be really intimidating. Like, definitely, I would say in Race for the Galaxy, if you play against someone who's played 200 times and you're new, then good luck. But in Res, I find that, like, the iconography is a lot simpler. There's like player aids that's really simple. Like, I've seen, you know, and like you're saying, Adrian, with the drafting, you can already start to go to put things together in your head. Like, oh, that's going to be good with that, you know. So already you have this. You can see the combos that might work for you. It's so you're not going to feel like I don't agree. I think that someone new to it could, especially with that drafting, if you're doing the drafting mechanic, I think someone new that just has played games before would be able to figure it out. It's really not it's not a hard game. It's a brilliantly simple game, actually.
Well, this expansion, it adds 12 cards to the deck and 4 monuments.
Really? So that's it. Yeah. It's not a huge
and I'd say maybe 4 of those are centered around the pearls. Yeah, like there's a card that I call Echo the Dolphin. I don't know if you know the Sega game Echo the Dolphin. There's a dolphin card, call him Echo the Dolphin, but he gives you a pearl as an income because he's going down the sea and picking up the pearls. Like,
makes sense.
That's cool. That makes sense. My favorite card, actually, I have to tell you about my favorite card. My favorite card is the Phoenix. So what the Phoenix does is, anyone that's played Res Arcana before, if a dragon attacks you, you can react to it. You can tap a card, turn it, to react to a dragon, and then you discard the Phoenix. He goes on the top of your draw pile, and you get 4 fire resources.
Oh wow! Okay,
so
that makes sense.
He's died.
He burns up.
Yeah, he's burnt up, and he gets reborn because he's your next card that you draw.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Like,
that's cool.
Pretty fun, and
that's
some
very
pretty interesting mechanics around that. And there's 4 new mages, 4 new monuments, 12 new cards, and 1 new magic item. And that's centered around the pearl as well. But yeah, I don't say everybody I talk to loves this game, but a lot of people do really love this game.
It's a good one. I've seen it being taught at our game days too, and it's one that's really good for that because
great
it's
game day game.
super easy to learn. Yeah.
And it's like once you've done one round, you could leave that teach and people could pretty much get it. It's not out of the realm of possibility. But I think it's a game that's here to stay. I think this game is going to, it's just going to get, I think, smashed. I think this expansion will do well, just like the last one did well. It's not that expensive. It's, it doesn't add a ridiculous amount of content, so the price matches the game, And just like the Race for the Galaxy expansions, they just, keep chipping away and releasing new ones. Nothing that's ridiculously expensive from what I've seen. I think they've always been at the same kind of price point and added this, a similar amount of content each time. But I think how many is there of those? Like 10 or something? That's
there's a lot.
It's a
I
big
don't know if we'll
box.
get 10 of these, but I think we'll get a few more for sure. And I love this game. So if you love card drafting, it doesn't have to be done, but that's once you played it a few times, that becomes a game in itself, like all card drafting games. That's a fun element. If you like any game that's got resource management, card drafting, engine building, this is a fantastic version of one of those.
Combotasticity, Mitch?
Combotasticity.
Combotasticity. Well, I knew it was some made-up thing.
Combotasticity.
Add a syllable every time you say it.
It gets longer every time.
The word evolves every time.
This game is available pretty much everywhere. Like you can get hold of this game anywhere. And
where'd you get it from? That it was
okay. Granted, I ordered this.
Do you want Adrian to start talking some more, Mitch? Can we just
the base game is available anywhere, and it's a great game. I think that most people that enjoy these engine builders like Res Arcana, and the expansion is basically just. If you already like it and you play it a lot, I would definitely get it. If you've played it 3 times and you're like, it doesn't tip the table very often, you'll probably never get this expansion. It won't be for you. It's definitely for people who like to play this game on a somewhat regular level. So,
well, I feel like that might be a good segue to talk about where I got my Res Arcana game from, because I got my Res Arcana game from Advent Games. So Advent Games, I've been buying games from them for a long time. They are an Australian site. They're based in Sydney. Their range is crazy. They've got a lot of games. They've got most of the games I've ever looked for have been available on there. They have plenty of pre-order titles, so the game you want is coming in and you can pre-order it. Their customer service is amazing as well. Like if you need anything, just send them an email. Even if you've got a question about a game or want advice on what to buy, you can email and they will get back to you. And also sign up for the newsletter, because it's not just a sales bulletin. There's actually info about games that are coming out as well. And it's really nice, well written, not annoying at all. Sometimes it annoys me that I can't find the email. I have to go searching for it. So that's really cool. So that is Advent Games, my dealer. And also, if you're in Sydney, you can actually meet up with Dean. He sometimes attends game days and things like that, so you don't have to pay for shipping if you're doing that. And he ships anywhere in Australia. Advent Games.
You should definitely do phone calls with him because he's got such a nice voice as well. So
he does. He has a booming voice.
It's great. It's great. And one booming voiced individual to another. It's fantastic. Now, we hope that you enjoyed that new format. We're just trying a couple of different things with the show. And please, if you've got any feedback, let us know. But I think what we might do now is we might resolve the bracket battle and start a new one. So the previous one was an absolute barnstormer, I think. But maybe the votes weren't as close as one would have thought. So the battle was Teotihuacan versus Everdell. So let's go. What do we reckon, team? Who do you think came out on top? No cheating.
I love Teo, and I'm hoping that they won. Crossing fingers.
I think in Discord and possibly our community, Teo would have got up because there's a bunch of crazy fans that really like that game.
We're not crazy. We're completely sane. It's an amazing game.
I'm pretty sure you did a son sacrifice, Sarah. That's what I'm worried about.
But I think on Instagram and in the wider population, Everdell probably would have got there. I mean, that game, there's so many people who love that game. It's just off the hook. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. It's going to be a close one, I think. Well, did you say you already know this not close? I don't know.
I think most of us grew up playing Sylvanian families, so like Everdell. I played
Sylvanian families.
I love being Sylvanian families. I'd put my X-Men figures in the trees, all this stuff.
Yeah.
Love Sylvanian families. Nothing.
Do you know
there
was a board game? Did you know that?
Stop it.
Oh no!
There was a board game, Sylvanian families. Yeah.
Was it like a roll the dice move?
It was. It totally was. Yeah, roll the dice, move them little creatures. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Everdell's. It's kind of what Orange Nebula talk about quite a lot. Everdell as a product is phenomenal. Like, it has great art, great table presence, beautiful cards, beautiful components, and it just has that appeal that's for a broader audience, right? Whereas I think Teotihuacan, personally, I prefer the mechanics and the mechanisms behind Teotihuacan and the gameplay itself. But I do love how Everdell looks and how beautiful it is and how interesting it can be. So I think that the mass market appeal of Everdell will bring that over the line. But I think it'll be close, reasonably close.
Well, look,
it has the razzle dazzle.
It does have the razzle dazzle. Oh, geez, thank you, Andrew Bosley, the friend of the show, mind you. I look close. Like, I'm a maths guy. Close for me is like 0.5. Okay, like that's close, and that never happened. So the scores are 112 to 85. Everdell's way. So Everdell gets the
Hold the
yes.
Is that your address, Connor? You just gave your address away.
Everdell Road. Yeah.
108 Everdell.
Everdell's way.
Everdell's way. Oh, I wish I lived in the Everdell town. My town in Everdell is always like the.
Please send letters to Connor at Everdell's way.
Yeah.
I'm just imagining Connor waking up in the morning and like singing a tune, and the like squirrels are coming in, and birds resting on his shoulder and stuff.
In that town, Connor's the Sasquatch.
I'm like, and then no one talks to me because it's like they're all cute and adorable. It's like, I'm the outcast. It's like, he can live, in the woods.
You're on the hill, like in the haunted house.
Connor's classed as short.
So that's and we'll go through ways that you can vote if you're a first or second time listener on our bracket battle, our upcoming bracket battle, which once again we're getting to the point where it's hit after hit, really. Like, let's face it, it's really ice cream versus a bicycle at this point. But our next bracket battle is one of our current members right now. His number two game of all time. Number 2 game? You tell me, Mitch. It's
because we can't remember.
Let's do his research. Don't worry, he's got this, man.
I think I'd have to go look it up.
It's close, right? 1 or 2, and that is none other than, please, Mitch.
Dun, 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 Great Western Trail
versus Architects of the West Kingdom, jingle upcoming for that one. So I thought what we might do, even though in real life me and Mitch are the best of bestest friends, it could be myself representing Architects, which is in my top 20, and Mitch could be the fighter for Great Western Trail. But Adrian and Sarah, do you have a proverbial dog in this fight?
Yeah, I just played Great Western Trail at CanCon and I really loved it.
Yep.
So yeah, it was so, like, again, I'm spoiling it. I think this is the 6th time I've spoilt my oath, but I played it the 2nd time, and it was amazing. It's definitely one of those games where you, like you're saying with Messina, Mitch, it's like there were things that I just didn't really touch last time, and even this time I didn't, because you can't get all of the different like specialists that you need to do all the different strategies. So this time I didn't do buildings. I think last time I tried buildings and I just really was not good at it. This time I went engineers and I went like full train strategy, and I don't know why I didn't do that the first time, because trains, I love trains. So yeah, I'm convinced, and I really want to try the like new edition.
And if this is a fight or a battle, any chance to Hadouken Mitch in the face, I'm on your side, Connor. So let's just do this. Hadouken.
Well, Mitch, you've won the coin toss. Do you defer or will you take the first hit up?
Well, Sarah's already given a little bit of a rundown on Great Western Trail, so I'll hand the baton over to yourself or Adrian if you'd like to go from there.
Yeah.
Right,
you want me to talk about it? Oh, no. Sorry.
Just,
okay.
they can do architects
You can do that first.
right.
before I come off the top turnbuckle.
he's taken.
He's got the chair.
Yeah.
Right, so Architects of the West Kingdom, you don't need to know anything about Great Western Trail. What you do need to know about Architects of the West Kingdom is it revolutionized worker placement. In the past, worker placement was, I'm in this spot, you can't go here, bad luck. Okay? Really annoying, kind of frustrating, just gets really, really taxing towards the end because if you're not first, as Ricky Bobby says, you're last. The great part about Architects of the West Kingdom is you can go to that same section as much as you want. However, while that may get you extra benefits, if you've got a savvy player who maybe wants to do, a little bit of underhanded or wants to, maybe make your life a little bit more difficult, they can then go and round up and arrest your workers and hold onto them and keep them hostage until they take them to the keep, and then they dump them in the keep. They've obviously maybe gatherings aren't allowed in the West Kingdom, and you can't have more than one person or something like that. But they get dumped into the keep, and they cannot come back to you until you go there and pay a cost. I think it is a fantastic way to do worker placement. I've said it before on the show. I'm a big fan of Shem Phillips. I think he's just does some really great work in this space of worker placement. While Architects might not be my favourite of the West Kingdom games, it is certainly in my top 20 games of all time. And if you agree with me, which you should, then it should also be in your top 20 games of all time. The other thing that I really enjoy about it is it's got a really great expansion, the Artisans and Apprentices expansion, where you get to upgrade your workers and upgrade your buildings and with the tools or the apprentices, and that makes your card play even more powerful. If you enjoy a racetrack, it's got a racetrack with a cathedral. If you enjoy building out your own play area and building combos, Architects has that as well. So for me, Architects of the West Kingdom just seems to be a much more inviting game than Great Western Trail. But I'll let Mitch try and fight for his second favourite game of all time.
Can I just say something? You added the expansion. Is that should he be disqualified for doing it?
What?
Well, he could be.
It's not.
Great Western Trail would have an expansion, but no one would
It
buy
does,
it, so don't worry about it.
It does have an expansion.
Oh, it does? Well, I've never heard of it.
More trains.
You know what else it has? It has a second edition, which is just hit the
Mic
market.
drop.
It's because it needs it.
And it's new and improved.
It has to be for legal reasons.
No. Let me talk about Great Western Trail. Great Western Trail. I mean, we've got some great designers here. You talked about Shem. And on our side of the fence with Great Western Trail, we've got an amazing designer, Alexander Pfister.
Yeah, I don't like any of his games. I don't know what we're talking about.
And, if Shem keeps pumping out games as good as he does, maybe one day he'll be on the same level as Pfister. But Great Western Trail is just a phenomenal game. It's got a little bit of everything in it. As Sarah said, you can't do all of it because you've got to kind of pick your efficiencies and work on the strategies that's going to work best for you in your game. I've talking about it loads on the podcast. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's number 3, to be honest. But
it's just dropping every time you talk about it. It just drops. Number 1.
It's number 1.
Now it's number 3. By the end of this rant, it'll be number 25.
I was kind of talking
Don't worry about
it. Can you really expect him to get anything right?
Come on. Audible match. You always had 10. We know the rules.
The one thing I will say about Great Western Trail, it has cows.
Cute.
And cows are fantastic. It has cute little cows. And the second edition actually has cute little cows. It's added a whole new mechanic into the game where you can purchase a cow that's a baby cow. And every time you take your baby cow to Kansas, well, it's not Kansas. It is Kansas you're going to, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time you take your baby cow to Kansas City.
Hey, number 3 on his list, by the way.
You can you can upgrade your baby cow to a adolescent cow. And then when you
Aw.
take your adolescent cow to Kansas, you can upgrade it to an adult cow. So it creates another dynamic where you can actually improve your deck, your cards, your cows, just by working through the cycle and going around through Kansas all the time. If you choose to take that breed, the other breeds still work the same way. You can still play them as in the normal game, and you don't even have to add those new aging cows into your deck if you don't want to. But so this second edition takes a game that was fantastic, was one of the best games ever made, and it's just made it more. So it's also thrown in there a solo game. So now us awesome solo gamers can play this game whenever we have the desire to play it, because we don't need to have 4 people around the table. So Great Western Trail just keeps getting better and better. I was so happy to hear that Sarah had played it and loved it, because I knew that it was. I was surprised that it wasn't in her wheelhouse the first time around. And I will say to Connor, who is clearly in Land of Delusion, and I don't believe he's played the game yet because he has an oath from our Secret Santa Christmas edition to play Great Western Trail. Let's regroup in a week.
You're going to be eating your words, buddy.
And tell me if you still think Architects is a better game.
Well, I wanted to play Great Western Trail the Sydney game day weekend, but we were, 1, too busy running around getting people COVID tested, and 2, ended up back at your house at 12:30 and fell asleep at the table playing Legends of the Dark Road.
There's no way you were playing Great Western Trail.
Great Western Trail at 2 a.m.
No
way. That would be torture.
It would be.
Just for me, with Architects of the West Kingdom, that was one of kind of like those second chance game moments that I've had, where I've played this game and just actively not had fun with it and didn't even finish the first play. I know it sounds horrific.
So we are like working for the worst game? I played
it 2-player and it just didn't work for me at all. But I have since played it 5-player multiple times and had great fun with it. It's a fun game. It's got great interaction, great banter. It can be played by a 6-year-old, which is epic. And he can play at a table with people in their 30s and 40s. And everyone can play that game and enjoy it and play it somewhat competitively, because if he wants to round you all up just to annoy you, he will. He'll just go right there, pay the coin, and be like, I'm taking these people all in and you can't do anything about it. And that's fun. They enjoy it. And I have sort of, changed my mind on my opinion of that game. And I think that the player count is a big factor for me. The other people might differ. They might have enjoyed it 2-player, and that's absolutely fine. But that game elevated itself to being a game that I wasn't interested in playing again, to a game that I thoroughly enjoyed playing it in a big group. It could have been the group, but the game itself, it made me enjoy it. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, it's not up to us as much as we wish it was. It is up to you guys, our listeners, to vote. You can vote in a few different ways. You can vote on our Discord if you're part of our Discord. You can vote on our Facebook page. You can vote as a part of our Facebook story. You can vote on our Instagram page and our Instagram story as well. Sorry, not our Instagram page, in our Instagram story. So please make sure you get your votes out there, which one you want to see get through to the next round. If it's going to be Mitch's Bonanza-inspired Great Western Trail, or the first of the Shem Phillips trilogy of the West Kingdom in Architects of the West Kingdom. But before we move on to our next segment, I just wanted to shoot to Adrian to let him give us a little inside word on something.
Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about 2D6 games. They actually directly support this podcast, which is fantastic. Dave, Dan, and Joe are also massively community focused. I mean, these guys are amazing. They run a ladies' game day in Brisbane. They run another game day, a community game day, and they literally directly support the Board Game Barbecue podcast game days. It's like they are running game days throughout Brisbane throughout the year. Like they are hardcore dedicated to the community and to the hobby itself. They also offer shipping nationally for free, which is fantastic, because if you just want to buy the one game, that annoys me when I buy one game and I'm paying $20 shipping for a game that costs $30 or $40. But yeah, I would definitely check out their website, check their Facebook page, sign up to that because they're very active on their Facebook community page, which is really cool to see because not a lot of businesses do that. But yeah, 2D6, fantastic support, fantastic community focus, and fantastic business. So go check their website, please.
Yeah, 2D6 are great. And we've talked about a couple of sponsors in our show today, but if you want to support the podcast, you can always head to patreon.com/BoardGameBarbecue, sign up to donate and get access to exclusive podcast episodes that are recorded just for our patrons. Remember, we never want you to contribute to the Patreon or donate to us if it's going to cause you any financial hardship in any way. In fact, there are plenty of ways to support the podcast without donating. You can go to Apple Podcasts and leave a star rating and a review for us, or Spotify's new star rating system. It takes only a few seconds of your time, but it means the world to us. You can also get involved in our Board Game Barbecue community by joining our Facebook community, following us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or the Board Game Barbecue Discord community, where there's always games and conversations going on. Get involved and support the show. All the links are in the show notes.
Please, anyone, because Dan's oath is to read out those Apple reviews. Please make it like either really bad grammar or something, so it's really hard for him to read, or do a rap. Just do a rap so he has to rap it, because I would love that. Because that'd be like, ha, good luck with your oath. Someone's left a rap on there for you. So, yeah, thanks for that. That would be amazing.
Very good. And
hey, JB, leave a review in French.
Oh, please.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, we're just about towards the end of the show, but it would not be a Board Game Barbecue episode without the swearing of an oath. How do we go this week, fortnight, month, crew? What are our oaths looking like?
My oath is not done. I won't lie. I have only played Hadrian's Wall once since I spoke about it, and I still don't know what I'm doing to get good points. It's hard. Well, I don't know if I don't BGG like good strategies or Google it. I just do what I feel, and I feel pretty lost. So I just try and do different things and press different buttons, but nothing happens. I still get like 40 points. But yeah, I still love it. I still really enjoy playing it, and I'm just going to keep continuing to play that for at least another few times before I make another crazy oath, because it'll just put me in the hole. So,
Adrian, I think you and we have similar memory issues sometimes. Maybe it's the fact that you're like forgetting to do bonuses and stuff. Like that's how I was with Hadrian's Wall. I was like, oh, did I get that? Did I get that thing? Oh, I think I missed it. And then you don't want to cheat, so you don't want to do it again to see, like, you want to do it just in case you forgot it.
Yeah.
I like need to take notes or something when I play.
On the paper?
I get obsessed.
No, that's ridiculous.
The journal.
I get obsessed with one track. Like,
Three Sisters.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is I get obsessed with one track and I completely forget everything else. And I'm like, that didn't really get me many points. Like, well, what was it doing?
You got one track mind.
That's right. That's why I lose.
Well, as Matt Riddle says, it's called Hadrian's Wall. You got to build that wall.
Some Hadrian's Wall.
Except I don't think that's true in this one. You definitely need to have something going on the right. You definitely do.
You get no points for the wall. Sorry, Matt. I tried. I did try. So, do you have a new oath, Adrian, to swear?
I'm scared to do it in case I fail.
He's afraid.
He's going to fail again.
Hang on.
The oath. Well,
bad luck.
Hang on, I've read the run sheet. I know that I'm involved in other people's issues, so I don't really want to double commit. So how about my oath will be to aid Conor with his next oath? How about that? That will be the oath.
Oh, that's probably not a bad little lead-in. So while we make fun of Adrian relentlessly, I also did not fulfill my oath, which was to play.
The difference is the audience isn't surprised by you. They're surprised by mine.
I had an oath streak, mind you.
Surprised by you. You know, Mr. Blackout Hong Kong, you're never coming back from that.
Hey,
there's no coming back from that.
In the last episode.
The worst thing is
he blacked out about Blackout.
Yeah, he's branded forever.
He's branded.
Yeah.
So
it's a great game. That's a sad thing. It was a really good game. I like it a lot. So yeah.
All right, you done defending yourself? You done? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. After David Thompson was on the show and raved about Robin Hood, I thought I would play it. It's set up, ready to go. It just, as we know, life gets in the way. So unfortunately, that's not happened at the moment. I hope to get it played during the week. Excuses. However, me and Adrian were talking during the week, as we do, and he wanted to learn a new game. And for whatever reason, Imperial Settlers came up. So my new oath, Conor and Adrian swear, the next time I'm on the show, I will have taught Adrian Imperial Settlers to see if he wants to perhaps use that purchase pen.
The standard one or Empires of the North?
Nah, the standard one, because it's I think it's probably a bit more in Adrian's wheelhouse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right.
What about you, Mitch? You've been awfully sort of quiet.
Well, I had a couple of oaths because I didn't do one last time, I don't think. I think I was...
You can't remember nothing.
He's filibustering.
He is. Look at him.
We've had this whole show to think about it. Like,
I'm no better off than when I started. I had to do Dune Imperium. I believe I still had it set up last time we were speaking. And I did tick that box, so I played it. So I played it solo. Look, I enjoyed it, but I feel like it's a game that could be anything in terms of theme. Like, I don't like to use that term, the theme's painted on, because I don't believe it is. But I don't really feel like, well, when I played it solo at least, I don't really feel like the whole Dune thing pulled me and didn't really, capture my imagination in that sense. It was just a matter of, it was very mechanical. Okay, well, I've got a worker. Where am I going to put that worker? I need a card to put that worker there, so I'll play that card and that'll go there and then I'll get that thing. It didn't really feel like I was doing anything in particular thematically wise. I do think, that said, that it would be a better game multiplayer. The AI and the way that the solo plays is not hard or difficult or challenging. It's actually pretty smooth and a really good system. But I think you lose a little bit of something when you're not playing against other people.
Is that the battle mechanic, Mitch? Did you feel that bit of it, that element where they battle? Do you think that loses it, or you think just in general?
Just in general, because they ultimately just go to random locations to block spots for you. Yeah. So it's kind of, I think when you're actually playing with human beings, they would be going to specific spots. So there would be a decision space around. I suspect Conor is going to go there. So maybe I want to try and go there first.
But he's sly. He won't go there. He'll go somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree with you about the randomness, but I do like the challenge of it. Like, they are like constantly, because they convert resources to points, so they're like constantly going up the track. They get into the battle.
Oh yeah,
easy
they were challenging.
It's a good challenge.
But I think interaction wise, it would be a different level with people.
Yeah,
like you obviously don't get that out of a deck of cards that you're playing against, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a key part of this game to make it fun. Like Hadrian's Wall, for example, you don't need other players because the game itself is good. It's the game is fun on its own, whereas I think this game needs people to take it to that fun level. I didn't really enjoy the game as a solo game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Look, to say I didn't enjoy it's probably too harsh. I enjoyed it fine, but there are other games that I think I enjoyed more. So that was Hadrian. That was Dune Imperium. I had a second one. I think was my second one to play Messina.
No, I know the other one. But it was.
Was it just the one other one I had, or was there a third one?
No, mate, you got so many.
I know the other one. Pay some money. $10. I'll tell you what your oath is.
So the other one I had was my Secret Santa Christmas oath, and that's the one Adrian's talking about, right?
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Right, Adrian.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
And that was Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. So I got a hold of this game about a week ago, read the rules, cracked it out yesterday, wasn't it, Adrian? I can't remember. I was talking to him about it.
Bit of a setup and a bit of a rules read, hey, to get started.
It was a beast to get started. The setup is pretty hectic because you need to sort of set the scenario and all that sort of stuff, which is, I guess just part of being a scenario-based game. But I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, of all of the Arkham / Cthulhu games that exist out there that I've played, this is easily the best. Easily.
Doesn't get enough praise, this game, I don't think. That's what I feel.
It's because there's a superior game out there already.
Yeah. You could have Arkham Horror. You could have Arkham Horror 3rd Edition and a Ferrari, or you could buy the LCG. Make your choice.
What am I going to do with a Ferrari when I could sleep on a pile of
Yeah, we
cards?
just want to stay home.
The LCG's the Datsun 120Y, right?
So what did you like about it? Or
Look,
do you want to leave that for another day?
No, that's fine. I'll talk briefly about it. Look, I like the puzzle of it. I like the moving around the board. I like the way it didn't feel like a game as such. It didn't even feel like a board game. It felt like an RPG type game where you're moving your pieces around a map. Monsters are spawning. You're like looking at them, going, "There's no way I can take down that monster. I'm going to get killed in a heartbeat. I got to run." So, my next couple of actions are just going to be this guy running away so that this monster can't get me on the monster phase. And then one thing that I did really, really like about it, most of these scenario games, you start the scenario up, you set it all out, and on the scenario card, it says you need to achieve blah, 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 blah to win. And it tells you what your win objective is. This game doesn't do that. I started playing and I was like, what even am I doing? I'm in the city and there's bad stuff going on. I know I have to try and stop, make sure we don't get too many Doom tokens out there because the city will go mad if there's too much Doom around. But what am I doing? And what happens is you go along and you collect some clues and things, and as you do that, you will unlock the next card in the Codex deck. And so the story actually unfolds as you play the game. You don't have a target at the start of the game. You don't know what your objectives are going to be because it's thematic. You're not going to turn up
research it.
Yeah, you've rocked up in a town. There's some weird things going on. Oh, what are we going to do? There's some strange stuff. Well, you have to defeat the big bad who's down the end of the city. And
that's
not
big bad.
Not another Marvel Skybeam.
Exactly. So I really enjoyed that part in that you didn't really know what was going to happen next, and you didn't know what you were going to have to do next. And I still don't, because I died halfway through the campaign. So I'm not even sure how far from the end I was. I don't know how close I was to winning. I don't know, because
that's part of it, definitely.
Yeah,
it has that Spirit Island effect of not maybe even more so than Spirit Island. You might be playing it for 3 hours, and all of a sudden it clicks in and you win, or the thing happens and you just lose.
Exactly. I didn't get that far because it's super punishing. But, we know I like those.
You love that Mythos bag, right?
Oh, that Mythos bag. Connor, I know you've got a Mythos bag or a Mythos cup or whatever in your LCGs, but this thing, man, it's not good. And then there's these newspaper decks as well where you get the headlines from the newspaper.
Extra, read all about it.
What's happened?
You're dead. Again.
There's been a rift in reality and my car's been sucked in. It's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But you never kind of feel like you don't have a shot. Do you know what I mean? Like you get the items and things that you get until you don't. Until you go, oh man, there's no way I can get out of this. I'm going to die for sure.
Yeah.
But even then, it wasn't a disappointing end. It was like it came to the conclusion that happened, and I think
I love all the items. The items are cool. Like how you can get the curio items, like the rabbit's foot, which gives you, when you roll a 4, it's actually a 5, and you get all these thematic luck items and different things. The Tommy gun, the shotgun, all these other items to fight things, and you might get the magnifying glass, which helps you research clues better. It's super thematic, man. The main thing that I've always talked to you about this game is, and you probably didn't really scratch the surface on it if you died and didn't get to see it much, but that codex. How as the story evolves, you pull different cards out. It'd be like, oh, go to card 52, and you pull that out and place that, and that becomes the new story element. That is really good in the base game. In the expansion, it just gets next level, and then apparently in the next expansion, which I haven't even touched yet, it's like crazy. Like it's proper story driven. They've really mastered what they can do with that codex.
Yeah. So, I'm
interested to see what you think about that.
It's a really, really good game. I'm really glad that Adrian oathed me to play it, and it will be staying in my collection for the foreseeable future. Awesome. So it's a good one. I'm even pre-thinking, who can I invite around? We've got to play this multiplayer, and I've got to have a crack at this, because I think it's probably going to be my favorite co-op game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, eh? Like it, and I don't know why it doesn't get such. I don't know, it just doesn't get as much, not praise, but just it's not as well played or known or what it is. It just seems to just the people who are in, but the people who never tried it, it's really hard to get them to try it.
Maybe because the LCG is a little bit more accessible in the sense that it's quicker setup. It's probably a bit easier to get into the game at the start. So maybe that's why people just lean towards that.
I'm glad you loved it. That's great. Because I didn't ask you about it on purpose because I wanted to hear it for like real.
And I didn't tell you what I thought about it.
No.
Until now.
Because I didn't want to ask. Because I was like, if he's not talking about it, he probably hated it. Oh, crap. But yeah, awesome.
But it was really good. So that were my 2 oaths. Tick, tick, done both of those. Now I have to come up with a third one. Oh, and I really don't have anything that I can do. I'm going to make an oath to play, to start, because we haven't started yet, the North Africa Unddaunted campaigns with Def. I would like to play them 4-player. So what I'll do is I'll say Oath A, try and get 2 other players who will join us on TTS to have a crack at Unddaunted North Africa 4-player. If not, we'll just do it 2-player.
Well, you've got 2 experts. If you need 2 addicts who don't know what they're doing, we did all right last time we played it.
Is that what you call it? All right?
Well, yeah, not really.
I mean, I won. So I did all right. I won.
Yeah. But yeah, so that'll be my next oath. To get North Africa campaign underway.
Very good. Well, that was a great sizzle. I mean, oath, Mitch. That was fantastic. The final member of our quaternity. Yes, we're in the business of making up words, and I think I just made one up. Sarah, how did you go with your
Well, I'm actually kind of devastated because that went on for so long. It would have been like, if I hadn't done my oaths, it would have been great. I could have just gone, oh, we're running long and it's fine. We got to go. But I actually did them. But I spaced out a little bit in the bracket that time. I'm like, oh, you talking to me, Mitch? And it was because I also couldn't remember my oaths. Well, I could remember obviously the Great Western Trail one, but I couldn't remember the other one. It was to play the Terra Mystica expansions.
That's right.
Which I have done.
Don't rush this. I want to hear all about it for sure. Like, how you said we're going to rush.
What I can always. I can always do a sizzle as well of this and go into more depth. But so I played them both, and the Fire and Ice expansion, basically it's mostly like new factions that are a bit more complicated and a bit crazier because they don't have an actual terrain that's on the board, right? So the funny thing about doing this expansion is I used the board. I included like all of the stuff, but then I didn't actually get the new faction. I got one of the old factions, so I still haven't. I feel like it's an ongoing process because I feel like I need to at least play with one of the new factions myself. So I want to do that one again. But the Merchants of the Seas expansion I thought was really cool because it didn't change the game an incredible amount. It actually kept, I kind of thought maybe the game would open up a lot more, but it didn't. The game was still super tight, even though there was this option to go for like creating some ships and traveling around the board, and you do get bonuses for doing that, for trading with different buildings of other players, but it still kept so tight because if you're doing that, then there's a whole bunch of other stuff you're not doing, right? So so that was really interesting because I was like, oh, this might be too easy. This might be just like, oh, it's an influx of resources now and I can do all these different things. It wasn't like that at all. So that the feel of the game where everything is just so tight and just trying to maximize those 6 rounds and the score, the scoring for each one, that is still there, but there is this extra sort of path that you can do. But like I said, you can't do everything. It's one of those games, and there are more round scoring tiles. So there's more variety of things to go for, and you have to watch those. And also there's more town tiles. So when you found a town, there's different options you can grab for that depending on what your strategy is, which is cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed them, and I think that I do want to play them more before I talk about them as a sizzle. Adrian.
Are they expensive, these expansions? Are they an expensive expansion?
They are, because they're a big box expansion. They've got like new boards in there as well, and lots of tokens and things like that. I'm actually kind of glad you asked that, because I've been thinking about like with the boat one, whether the value's there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
it doesn't add a crazy amount to the game. It doesn't. Like, it's physically, physically it's a lot of components, because there's these tokens and there's a new board, but doesn't add like a crazy amount of new stuff to the game. So there is that to keep in mind. And I think, with these things, just wait till there's a sale.
Yeah, but not only that, then like let's say you're going to play this and teach me Conor and Mitch for the first time. Would you just leave it in because it's okay, or do you feel like
I
play the
would?
base?
I think I would leave it in. Yeah, I think I would leave it in.
And you'll get your money's worth then if you need to teach people and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like,
for sure. And I think they're like about $80 these expansions, but you can get them cheaper. So it's kind of one of those things that just keep an eye open for if it drops in price a little bit.
Well, you play it 80 times. It's only $1 a play, right?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So that was really good. I enjoyed it. I need to play that more. I don't want to just play once and then pack it away, sort of thing. Yeah, I don't want to just tick the box. So I do want to do that more. And of course, my other oath was to play Great Western Trail a second time, and I am so glad I did, because I absolutely loved it, even though there was like that round where I had 4 Jersey cows in my hand, which are all value of 1, and of course you can only sell 1. But now that I'm a little bit better at the game, I realized how you can actually get rid of cows from your hand and cycle in different cards, and I felt like I didn't suck so badly at the game. So that was good.
And if you ever want to play it again, you could just invite people in your house and not me and play it.
Yeah. I will. I will call upon you with your brand new edition, Mitch.
Sarah will even, when people come to the door, she'll go dun 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 dun, Great Western Trail, and you're not even there. She'll just rip you off.
I actually did sing that at CanCon because one of our listeners, Richard, he was like, how does Mitch do it? And I'm like, dun dun dun, Great Western Trail. And I had to pretend to be you, and it was so anyway.
Good job, Richard. Good job.
Yeah,
bringing one in for the team.
He was really good. He was like, Sarah, your oath, and he's like, I'm going to teach it to you, and we're going to play it now. And it was like the first thing we played, and it was just like got off to a good start.
Did I miss it? Awesome. Was it the first or second edition that you played? I can't remember.
We played the first edition.
Okay, cool.
At the CanCon. Yeah. Because that's the one Richard had. And my next oath, I'm thinking, I don't know, you sound like you have a lot on your plate actually, Adrian, but you did mention that you wanted to play Eclipse, and I happen to love Eclipse. So I was thinking, maybe my oath could be to do a teach of Eclipse online.
I'm happy to do that. All right. It's a game I'm really interested in playing.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, here we go.
I've been hanging I've been itching to pull the trigger on Second Dawn for the Galaxy. But I'm like, I can't spend that much money without even trying it first.
I think the day that you're going to learn that, I'm washing my hair, so I'm not going to be able to play.
Did you hate our game that badly at the game day?
No, just hates the idea of me trying to learn the game.
At least he's got a good chance of coming third, though, if you play Mitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Mr. 1 point over there. No, that's... well, Adrian, but the thing is they're our oaths, not Adrian's. So he could.
I've done no oaths, and I've got 2 oaths.
Yeah, he could totally torpedo us, Sarah.
Nah, that's not my style.
Very good.
Oh well, you know what? I'll just play it. With or without you, I'll play it. I'll hold up my end of the bargain.
Well, I taught it, just no one was there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'll record it then and send it to you.
Oh. Just change sides of the table and put your best Kermit the Frog voice on the other side.
Yeah. Hey, it's a mix of Michael Jackson and Kermit the Frog, I have you know.
Bit of Elton John in there too. Yeah.
Elton John, bit of Prince Charles.
And 1922 newsreader.
Very good. Well, a mixed bag when it comes to the oaths, but that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Just before we say goodbye, I just want to thank all of our sponsors, 2D6 games, Advent games, Game Toppers, and of course, all of our patrons. We love each and every one of you, and we're super, super glad to have you as part of our community. But with that, hey guys, thanks for a great episode.
Oh, thank
No,
you.
thank you.
It was awesome.
It's fun.
It was awesome.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Apart from you guys not doing your own.
I'll put that in the feedback for the assessment task.
Hey, Sydney brings it home, right? You can always rely on Sydney
Yeah,
to
that's
carry the
right.
rest of the country.
Can only rely on
I'm
us.
half an
right.
hour behind. I'm actually not half an hour behind, but very good. So that'll be it from us, and goodbye from us. And we hope your next game is a sizzling one. See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah.
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 This has been the weirdest
Yeah.
intro to
Yeah.
the podcast ever.
Oh, we're just giving Dan some secret segment stuff.
Get Dan to do some work.
Yeah, this has been gold
Piece
for
of
that.
Do you remember that song, Connor?
What song?
Pony by Genuine?
Oh, I remember. Oh,
Everyone knows that song.
Genuine.
Classic.
You don't know Genuine.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Maybe
Come on,
we
Adrian,
can
you
do
gotta
that
do the vocals.
karaoke episode now.
I'm telling you, the next poll that's going on Patreon is Mitch has to do Informer as a pod, like just him doing Informer as a one-off.
That's all it
or-
is.
That's it. It's option
Yeah.
A, Mitch does Informer. Option B, Mitch does Informer. That's the two poll options.
And option A, which doesn't form a win.
Mitch does Informer, Daddy Yankees version.
Well, if you're offering,
That's a leader. Very good.
Right.
All right,
should we do something?
Let's do something. All right, give me a countdown. 3, 2, 1.
2. Dun, 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 Great Western Trail.